And
hello, and welcome to World Sand Project. I'm Shelley Carney.
had a good time dancing last night.
Did you? Did you smile?
I did.
You smile now? Wait, never mind.
No, don't smile.
It's scary.
And I'm Toby Younis. Thanks for joining us today. We have a beautiful sample from Galveston Island, Texas. But you did. I didn't know it was. Yes, I did know it was that one. And it was sent to us by
Lisa Slezewski.
Yeah, you're so much better at pronouncing your name than I. Stick with us. We're going to have some fun. Oh, and Happy New Year.
Yay, Happy New Year.
Shelley Carney, how are you doing? Another year for us, huh?
Happy New Year.
Here we go. So I think we're going to go straight to the window shot because I think I went over a little bit last week and we almost got. But first, oh no, I can't do the window shot. I got to go back to full frame here because.
Housekeeping, you want towels?
You want some towels?
We need towels.
Lord knows we need towels.
New Year's towels.
New Year's towels, little New Year's markings. Remember to like this video before you leave today. YouTube likes it when you like your video. And the International Society, or the International Sand Collectors Society likes it when you like our channel.
Yeah.
Who knew? Just found this out. We're going to become members, and we're going to see if we can convince some of those members to join us on a live stream so that we can interview them because they collect this stuff. How neat is that? Share it with your family, your friends, your neighbors, your business associates, the entirety of your social network so that we can
grow the channel.
And if you are not already a subscriber, this would be the ideal time to subscribe by pressing that subscribe button. And then when you see the notifications bell, bang down on that notifications bell, and that way whenever we start a live stream or we even schedule a live stream, you will be informed and
in the know.
As a result, you will be in the know.
In the know.
You will learn more about sand. Before I go any further, I do want to mention that on Friday's show, we are going to look at some fracking sand from Wisconsin. And we're going to talk a little bit about fracking. I used to be anti-fracking because of some of the damage that was done in New Mexico. And although it changed the algorithm for petroleum production in the world, you know, we rely less on other people's petroleum products, other countries' petroleum products, but it's still, you got to wonder if it does some damage. So we're going to have that conversation. You're going to learn a little bit about fracking. You're going to learn a little bit about fracking sand, and you're going to learn a little bit about why it's so important and why it only comes from a couple of places in the United States. So we're going to talk about that on Friday. Let's get on to today's show, though. I'm going to bump over to the window shot first. I do want to mention, I'm going to open this up. I don't know where the first picture is always a little bit, because I go through a lot of trouble to make these pictures. So I do want to mention, what's up? Did Kevin find it?
He's sending it to us.
Oh, okay. Great.
Again.
Okay, again. Yeah. So I do want to mention that last week we shared with you a sample of sand from the green sand beach in on the island of Hawaii, in the state of Hawaii in the Pacific Ocean. But that comes from this package.
Wasn't that on Kinky Poo Island or beach? Not Kinky Poo?
Okay, I'm going to wait for you to because no, it's not Kinky Poo. It's not even close to Kinky Poo. You have to remember. You have to go back to the show now to remember what's. I don't actually remember. Let me go back.
Oh, something
it was
Kalapaloa.
Kalapaloa.
I don't know.
Koapaloa.
There's maybe somebody in the chat room. Remember?
We'll go back and get it. Anyway, what I wanted to mention is that I actually bought a collection of sand from eBay, from a gentleman on eBay whose name is David Plotkin. And there are a total of 18 bottles in the collection. We did the last one, 18 last week. That was the green sand beach. But as you can see, there's a broad variety of sand. These are all from the Hawaiian Islands. Some of them, this number 17 right here is about a mile away from the green sand beach that we saw last week. But you can see a variety of colors. There are some that are very heavy with shell fragments. This one is this one right here that you see is actually from a beach called Glass Beach, and it has its name because people used to dump their trash in the ocean nearby. And eventually that trash would break on the glass in that trash would break on the shore, and then the ocean would break it down even further by weathering it, and so the entire beach is made from glass, people's glass. That's why there's some brown beer bottle glass. So we're not going to do that this week, but we'll as we go through this series, we'll eventually play each one of those, have a show on each one of those sources of sand. I'm looking forward to the glass sand beach. So today, though, comes from Galveston, Texas. And Galveston, as you should know by now, is on the Gulf of Mexico, and it's about central Texas. This is the border with Louisiana here, and down here is Brownsville, which is the Texas side, the United States side of the United States-Mexico border. Over the border is a city called Matamoros. It's a very touristy city. At least it used to be. I haven't been there in a while. Let me see. I went to, when I returned from overseas, I had several months to finish up my service time, and I was assigned to Fort Hood, Texas, which is somewhere around here. It's near Killeen, Texas. And so I wanted to learn how to scuba dive. And so I found a scuba diving instructor whose name was Don Brode, and learned to scuba dive from him. And we used to make regular trips out to Galveston because there were several boats. There were boats that would take divers out to the various oil platforms out in the Gulf of Mexico, and we'd go diving off those, diving and spearfishing off those platforms on the Gulf. It was a beautiful area. The Gulf Coast in Texas is really a nice and beautiful coast. So I strongly recommend that you, if you get a chance, get there. So this is a more refined picture. As you can see, Galveston is an island, and I've got a little bit better shot here.
There's a Pasadena?
Yeah, Pasadena, Texas, yeah.
Is that where they had the Rose Bowl parade?
No, that's not the Rose Bowl parade. Down here is Corpus Christi. If you go further down, you'll get to Padre Island, which is a big spring break location. A lot of the spring breakers
that was
go to
today.
Padre Island. What was
The
today?
parade.
Oh, did you watch it?
I saw some while I was at the gym.
Yeah. I haven't watched it in years. The platforms, the oil platforms, right off this shelf that you see right here. So we'd boat out in that direction. I once, and we used to dive. There was a shipwreck that was closer to Galveston Island, and it had a bunch of portholes in it. And,
Round Rock.
Oh, yeah. Right. Oh, that's where your daughter lives, right?
That's right.
Yeah, up there in August. Let's see if this map has. We'll look for it later. New Braunfels is a beautiful place. San Antonio is a beautiful place. San Antonio has Riverwalk. College Station is right here, where Carroll Shelby of racing fame used to have his shop and his racetrack. But we're out here on Galveston and in the Gulf of Mexico, and I've got another one that gets us just a little bit closer. And this is where you can see that Galveston is actually an island just south, and that would be east of Houston, Texas.
So is that all of Galveston?
That's it, all of Galveston.
Just the island part is just, that's all of it?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm wondering. No, that's Texas City.
Oh.
So that's that's all of Galveston. Galveston Island.
There's Galveston Bay.
Yeah.
Goat Island.
This is the pass. It floods every time they have. As a matter of fact, all this area flooded
During the hurricanes.
the last hurricane. Yeah, it's very low. There's places in Galveston, as a matter of fact, that are lower than sea level. So this is the area from which Lisa collected the sample of sand. This is the Seawall Boulevard. It's kind of like, California. They call it the 101 or the 1. And then in Florida, they call it the Atlantic Boulevard. Oh, I don't know. I get them all mixed up. But that's a road that runs along the Galveston. If I were to go further this way, and we can't do that on in this section. She took it right about here. Now it shows it being out in the street because of the coordinates, and it's not accurate. But it was closer to this area because she sent me some pictures. This is the sample. As you can see, there's two things that I noticed about it. It's whiter than any sample that we've seen thus far. It's got very little color to it. The black is something other than magnetite, and I'll show you why in just a minute. This is what it looks like in the crucible. And this is a high-level shot, and that was the second thing that I noticed about it. It's very fine in comparison. It had no trouble getting through the 2 millimeter sieve. It was very, very fine, and as you can see, a lot of quartz crystals. This is it. That's as close up as I got on the portable microscope, which is what I use to make these images. We'll see it just a little bit closer in just a minute, but a very, very fine sand and not a lot of color. There is some in there, but not much of the color. That's why it looks so white. I didn't see a lot of magnetic result. There is some, as you can see, right around the edges here. But this is not magnetic. This just, because it's small and it's light and there might be a little bit of iron in it, it does stick to the magnet, but it's nowhere near the level of magnetics that we see in the samples from California, and especially that sample from the Columbia River. So some, but not very much. This is, I asked Lisa to take a picture of the precise location where she took it, and you can see it's a very fine form of sand, which means it's very weathered, very polished, because it almost looks like it's white on the beach. This is a overview of the beach. Oh, thank you. I'm going to go back in just a right.
Well, you couldn't see the water here, so.
That's our wave sound. This looks like she was in her car when she took the picture, because that's a mirror right there from her car. But these were done in, I think, November, so I'm sure it was chilly enough so that there wasn't a lot of beach traffic. That way up, didn't I?
It gets louder as it goes on.
And then this is the third view looking down the sidewalk and Seawall Boulevard right there from the beach. I got some additional photos from Google Earth. That's taken from one of the Google Earth vehicles, and that's the 61st Street Pier. And I won't go back to the maps, but I'll show you in just a minute. The pier aligns itself with 61st Street, which runs perpendicular to Seawall Boulevard. There is fishing off the pier. It doesn't go out as far as some of the piers that I see in California, but it's out there like any pier is. This is I'm going to assume a sunrise shot, since we're looking east. This is before the sun has risen at the end of the pier. This is a shot from the shoreline towards the pier. And as you can see, like I said, it's very short. But this, I remember in Galveston, they have a very long beach. When the tide is all the way in, you can still walk out on the beach for 100 yards and not be above the middle of your thigh. So it's a very long, very flat beach. So it would be hard to build a pier. You'd have to build a pier way, way out there. Another sunrise shot, because we are looking east in the ocean. So those were some very nice shots. That was done actually by the Galveston 61st Street Fishing Pier folks. So thank you for that great shot. Let's take a look at the map. I have put a link to the maps in the description box below. It's WSP. It's a bit.ly link, WSP0012 map. And it'll take you to this location. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this in so that we can get a bigger view of this. And I'm going to bring it out a little bit so we can see that island structure again. So there's the island, there's the pass, there's the causeway, and the causeway is actually an interstate. But as you can see, that's Galveston right there, and there's the location from which Lisa, and I did let Lisa know we were doing the show today, so if she ends up in the room, maybe we can have her call us. So there are some really good, what I'm going to do is, I'm in Google Earth now. No, I'm going to go to, no. Okay, that's the Google Earth view. And if I take the little yellow man, we can put him right here, and we can get a view right straight.
Snow cones.
Snow cones, there, because there is a little shop in the pier down there, so we can get a little off view, panoramic, 360 degree, not just panoramic view from the pier before you get to the pier base. This one was done by Jeffrey Davis. Jeffrey, that was
Whose
very good.
shadow you saw there?
Yeah, who you can always recognize by the shadow. So I'm going to take you back out there again, so get your water ready. So this is right, as you can see, where I'm dropping him. Oh, he doesn't want to get dropped. Let's see if he doesn't want, doesn't want to go there. All right, let's go to this one.
I don't want to fall in the
Let's do that
water.
right there.
Oh.
There we go. Oh, I don't know
What
that
happened
is.
there? Oh, it's a sign.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it's from inside the sign, I guess. Oh, that's
Historic downtown Strand Seaport.
well, that wasn't as good as I was hoping it would be, but that was done by
Taylor Cates.
Taylor Cates. All right, let me see if I can. I can't. This was a good one, I thought, and I had it. This one right here. Do you drop the little man there? No, you dropped the little circle there, right? Right there. Nope, doesn't want to be dropped. All right, let's go back out
Must
here
not
then.
be any pictures there.
Well, that's what that blue circle is supposed to represent. Let's go to the
Oh.
end of the pier. See, it says photosphere. That's what the little... okay, hombre. All right, we're going to have to go back to this one because apparently that's the only one that actually has... So there you're looking back at Galveston and 61st Street, which lines up with the pier, which is why they call it the 61st Street Pier. And that would be looking kind of north and, let's see, north and east. And this would be looking south and
Well, that's
west out
weird.
the edge of the bay. Yeah.
Yeah, the world just dropped
Just
off
up
there.
you gotta
He's
be
got
real
a
good.
couple of panoramic pictures pushed together, I guess.
Yeah. So it's got some, there's some good stuff down there. It looks like a beautiful beach, and as we've seen so far, the sand is very nice and refined. Let's switch over to the camera now. And I want to make sure, the first thing I noticed right here was there's some natural stuff. This looked like a shell bit right here, but you know, that's 1x on the stereo microscope, and as you can see, it is just a very fine brand of sand. Let me make sure we're still active with this. Yeah, we are. And what I'm going to try and do is I was curious about that one little piece of what looks like shell, but I'm not sure. So I'm going to try and bring it in. Stereo microscope doesn't always want to cooperate with me. We'll see. I don't think it's a 4M. Let's see what we got here.
It's like shell to me.
Yeah, it does look like shell, doesn't it? Although it does have that one little hole there. So let me see if we can change the brightness just a little bit. See. You know, it might be a 4M. See these right here? See those that are part of a 4M? See the little holes right there? That would indicate that it's a foraminifera.
Mm-hmm.
So let me add some contrast here. But mostly quartz, the translucent stuff and the white stuff is quartz. And still pretty edgy and still rough around the edges. Not as smooth as some of the other sand. The yellow could be quartz or it could be a feldspar. So let's see what else we've got on here. I don't see a lot of other colors. We see, of course, the basalt that we see in almost every one of our samples. That's the colored stuff. And it's a composite. It's still mostly a rock. It hasn't been broken down any further. but very, very good looking samples, I thought. Here, don't cooperate. Let's see what we got here. So this is at full magnification, and if you compare this at full magnification to what we saw last week in those olivine grains of sand, and I don't know whether you remember, I mentioned I couldn't get any of those grains, very small percentage of that sand actually made it through the 2 millimeter screen. This one, all of it made it through the 2 millimeter screen. There was no question about where the sand size, whether or not this was sand. I'm curious about this one. I wish I could get this just a little bit at full magnification, but that's it. So, good looking sand. I want to thank Lisa for going through the trouble to locate this, primarily the light, the translucent or the white quartz with some feldspar. There's some quartz with a little bit of green in it, and that's because it has a touch of magnesium in it. That's what gives it the green color. There's some orange back there. Let's go up a little bit, see what else we find. So there's a nice combination. There's some quartz with a blue tint. Is that a shell?
The blue?
No.
Oh.
This right here, does that look like a miniature
It does.
conch shell?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's go. See, I can't get any closer than I am now, but let's see if we can. You know what I can do? I could do a digital zoom. Let's see if we can get any closer. That looks like a conch shell to me. It looks like a miniature shell, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if I can actually. I wish you could. So here's what I'm trying to. Right. I'll go to full frame for just a second. So here's what I'm trying to determine whether or not one of those little tiny black specks in there is a conch shell. I think I would have to put it under, and I will, because I already have the other sample. I have the sample under the polarizing microscope already. But I kind of think that looks like a conch shell to me. Very small, little, shell made by some little animal out there in the ocean. You know what? I'm going to take this picture because sooner or later, if I try to do this again, I'm going to lose it. Let me get this shot. And we want to put it in. Oh, can't do that. My computer started making noises about there. Windows must have done an update.
Grumpy old man noise.
Yeah, it's starting to make noises. It surprised me with them last night. I was working late last night and scared the heck out of myself when I did something and it made a quacking noise. Did I pull that out? Oh, rats, I did pull it out. Okay, we're just going to save it on the desktop.
So Kevin and I were
WSP
watching The Magicians,
0012.
this series.
Yeah.
And there was an episode where she was wandering through the desert, and then she came to a man and she asked him how to make these weapons that he had, because she needed a set of her own. And he said, you have to go out in the desert and dig through the sand, and you see these tiny little black spots, and you collect those in a bag. And when you have a bag full of them, then we can make a weapon out of that. And so she went to the desert and she was sorting through the sand looking for the little black spots.
The magnetite?
Yeah, I think so. I was like...
Well, the best thing you could do at that point is go through the desert and drag a magnet behind you, because
Right.
that's going to collect it a lot faster.
Well, she got help from a spirit, so...
Ah. Well, that looks interesting. What's that little baby right there? Or is that just a odd shape? So it's got some natural
spiny
flavor
thing?
to it. Yeah, some spiny thing. So as you can see, we've got a great looking, very fine grain, mostly, it's I'm going to say 90%. I'll probably be wrong, but I'm going to estimate 90% quartz, maybe even higher, because even the stuff that has color in it, like this kind of pink one right here, and this kind of yellowish one, and these kind of blue, they're still quartz. The thing could be more than 90% quartz. And again, if you compare this to some of the imagery from last week's same microscope, the stereo microscope, at the same magnification, this is the highest magnification on this particular microscope, you can see that these sand grains are significantly smaller than the ones we saw from the green beach last week. So let's go over to, let me switch over to the stereo microscope. What?
We can't see.
Oh, dang nabbit. Thanks for letting us know. Okay. So could they see the little, did they get to see the
microshell? Yeah.
the microshell? Oh, okay.
Yeah, because he said microshell.
Okay. Microshell. So the point that I was trying to make is
Microshell.
90 to 95% of this stuff is quartz. At this magnification, you can tell, and you compare it to last week's green beach from Hawaii. The granules were much larger than the 2 millimeter standard for sand. These all fell very easily through the 2 millimeter screen. So I want to see what's going on right there. So I need to take this sample, which is in the crucible, the small quartz crucible, and put it under the higher magnification microscope, because there's some stuff in here that I just can't tell, including that one little object that looked like a, and that's it. That's as magnified as I can get. All right, let's switch over to the stereo microscope and see what we can see there. So I'm going to go to that one here, and I'm going to have to turn on this is the polarizing microscope. It's higher magnification, but we use it because it's polarizing. So now you can see that the grain's a little bit better. This is not the same sample that you were looking at just a few moments ago.
These are not the samples you were looking at.
These are not the samples you were looking at. But I will get that sample, because I'm going to go back and I'm going to find that little tiny shell, because I believe I have seen some forams, but I have yet to see any of the shells. Now, the reason this has a kind of yellow tint to it, yeah,
looks like
is
lemon drops,
is because the polarizing microscope uses halogen lamps and to produce the light. And unfortunately, these microscope cameras, when you're using the software that runs on the computer, doesn't have an auto white balance correct. So you get what you get. So
Sassy's here.
Hi, Sassy.
She's singing the Galveston song.
Oh, isn't that the guy from Albuquerque? What's his name?
Glenn Campbell?
Glenn Campbell. I think that was his song, wasn't it?
I think so.
So that is the 10x magnification. Let me pop it out just a little bit and see if we can get a better view. But yeah, this is 5x, and it's just amazing to me how fine this particular. What are the chances that another one of those little conch shells are in this sample? Slim to none, I'm sure. See, auto white balance, auto light. It just has its own mind when it's with the software, when we're running the software. Let's take a look at that. So the samples last week, this is 10x magnification on this sample. When I had the 10x magnification on last week's sample, it filled the frame. That's how different grain size these are. Is Lisa in the room?
I have not seen her.
Okay. So, but
She was there last night, wasn't she?
she was. We had a little New Year's show last night just for the fun of it because I decided not to go out.
Just stay at home and drink alone. But, turn on your camera so you're not really alone.
I think we peaked at around 83 or so, which I thought was a pretty good number for New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be alone.
I went to bed. I was tired.
Yeah, that's what everybody said. I asked for you.
You were sending out texts to everybody at midnight, and I got them this morning.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Yeah, I sent out a text to all my family and friends at midnight, wishing them happy New Year. It was just after midnight, actually.
I was sleeping already.
So, Lisa, I think what I can say is this is really a beautiful sample in the sense that it's very fine and lots of quartz, just an amazing amount of quartz in there. So I'll get some photos and I will add some of these photos back to the photo collection. You can find the photo collection in the description box below. You can also find the map in the description box below. And you saw the photos that I've already put up there. And I will take some shots with both the stereo microscope and the polarizing microscope. And I'll put them up there. I do have another microscope on order that is neither stereo, it is a compound microscope, but it doesn't have polarizing, but it magnifies up to 1,000 times. So we should be able to get really kind of in on these things. But I love the colors that are produced by the polarizing microscope as it reflects back from those tiny little objects that we see there. And to me, I had this conversation. There's a gentleman who is one of our viewers on A Gypsy's Kiss, and he used to make jewelry, and he still has a lot of it. So we get into conversations about gems, and I tell him how often I see one of these little grains of sand and I wish I could just pick it out and go make a piece of jewelry from it, a cut piece of jewelry, but you can't because it's...
Maybe if you were an ant.
Yeah, if you were an ant, that's what it would... An ant.
You could wear a necklace made
All
out
right.
of sand grain.
So, and
hey everybody, thanks for being here today and checking out the sand from Galveston with us. We appreciate you and wish you a happy new year. And for the World Sand Project, I'm Shelley Carney.
And I'm Toby Younis. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you again on Friday at 3 p.m. And we're going to have some fracking sand from Wisconsin. We're going to talk a little bit about fracking because it's a thing. Apparently, who knew? And also, I'll have more information on the International Sand Collectors Society because I've written to them, and we may have some of the collectors on future shows with us, which I think will be a lot of fun. We'll see you this afternoon at 4 o'clock on the softer side, 7 o'clock on A Gypsy's Kiss. Happy New
doing
Year's.
A giveaway?
The giveaway. Well, can you reach over there? I can show you the giveaway. But the giveaway is not till Friday.
Oh, that's right.
So on Friday.
And they need to comment on which videos?
Last Wednesday's video. No.
Last Wednesday or last Friday?
No, last Friday's video.
Last
okay,
Friday's
so I wanted
video.
to mention this is our giveaway for Friday on the World Sand Project. It is a 4x6 dye sublimation print of the sand, and look at the size difference. That's full magnification. This is the sand from Green Beach on the Big Island.
You wrote
Hawaii.
it on there.
Yeah, it's all on there. Papacolia. Papacolia Beach. That's our giveaway for Friday. And all you have to do to qualify to win this is to make a comment on last Friday's show. All right. Oh, I used up my music. And then, so I'm thinking about this. You guys tell me on Friday we have to have another giveaway. This is, so you can see it up here. I took it's a petal, a cutting from a petal from a lily that I had flowers on the table on Christmas dinner.
Yeah.
And one of the flowers was a lily, and I took a cutting from that lily, and I don't know whether you can see it. It'll go out of focus here, but you can see that it has little red markings on it. that's one of the red markings under the polarizing microscope. So that's going to be our giveaway for. That's what we'll be giving away on Friday. You'll make a comment for that one. So I thought that was kind of neat. I know it's not sand, but it's just kind of a neat picture. So this is the one we're giving away this week. It's the green sand from Hawaii that we saw last week. To qualify, make a comment on last Friday's video. Okay, and you only have to make one. It doesn't help. It doesn't change the odds if you make 10 of them. So for those of you that aren't aware. All right.
All right. Let's try this again.
All right. Well, we already said our goodbyes. I'm
All
going
right.
straight to outro.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Happy New Year.